Well, good morning. How are you all today? Welcome to Integrative Preparedness, in case you just stumbled past and didn't know what you're watching. I want to talk for a few minutes about the possibility of terror cells rising in the United States and, and executing coordinated attacks across the country. I've talked about this before, but I just got done watching a video on another channel. I'm not going to name the channel, but it is the only channel that I watch on a daily basis. I like the channel, and the reason that I'm not going to identify it is because what I'm about to say is going to sound like I disagree with what they said, and I don't necessarily. What I'm simply going to share with you is that people have different ways of dealing with problems, and I'm going to give my way or my suggestion. The way I do it. Let me just put it that way. Okay. There are several things that are going to come together here, and of course the message from the other video was that information was coming out from law enforcement that they have information indicating that terror cells who have been here in the United States from the Middle East, obviously, that there's information leading to to the thought that they may arise in the near future and execute coordinated attacks. Okay, I did an extensive video on this not too long ago on how to cripple the entire country with a few coordinated attacks on small towns, and by small I mean 10 to 20,000 people. It wouldn't be difficult at all, and by that you could cripple the entire country. And the small towns would not be able to. I don't care what people hear about this. Try this in a small town. That would be the place to try it, because there's not the emergency services immediately available to be able to respond to it effectively, and before there were a lot of casualties. Okay, we're going to jump back here. That's, if you haven't seen that one, I don't remember what I called it. It's been a while since I made that, but this is something that I've been anticipating for quite a while. Let me jump to a couple of things. Now, some of you, if you're on Patreon, you saw that my number one son, my 18-year-old, got jumped last night. Got into a road rage situation, and ended up in a parking lot where a guy attacked him, a guy about twice his age, and about 100 pounds heavier than him, at least. And Aiden said to me afterwards, I got there, I talked to the cops, the ambulance crews, and everything. The cops were totally on Aiden's side, and they can't say it, but they, with their eyes, because I told them I'd been on, with their eyes and their facial expressions, they told me, yeah, he was in the right and he did a good job. And Aiden told me afterwards, he says, I beat his ass and it felt great. And so I'll buy him a beer on that. Now, I know there's going to be some out there that will say, and don't even come on for the wandering visitor who says, I hope that you explain to him that it's always best to avoid conflict. Apparently you don't know me. Okay. Now let's jump to something else. Way back after 9/11, a good friend of mine went back in the Army. He had been Special Forces for most of his 15 years in previous, and he wanted to go back in and fight. I tried to talk him out of it, but he went back in and was able to get back in SF and went over there. And in between one of his deployments, he told me a story. Now, he was from my area. And I live, well, you all know where I live. I live on the Kansas side of the Kansas City area. He told me a story that while he was over there, he walked into a room. He was headed to a meeting one day. Now, he was fairly senior SF. And he was headed to a meeting one day. And he walked into a room, and there was a map laying out on the table. Now realize this was 2000. I don't know what it been, 2, something like that. He said he walked into this room and it was different guys than he expected to be there. And on the table was a map, and they looked up at him, and he saw anyway before they were able to cover the map or stop him or whatever. He saw that it wasn't a map of the area they were in. It wasn't Iraq. It wasn't Afghanistan. It was a map of the United States. And they were particularly looking at one particular area. Well, I won't go through the whole details because I'm not sure that I remember all the details. What I do remember is the salient point is that they told him, now these were agency guys, okay? I chided him later about, being a senior guy and not being able to find the right room for his meeting, but that was just a funny aside. They told him that between Lawrence, Kansas, which is about 40 miles west of me, and Columbia, Missouri, which is about 150 miles east of me, was the largest concentration of militant Islamists anywhere in the world outside of the Middle East. And he was, you can imagine, you go, what? What? Well, do you remember, was it Saddam's bomb maker or what? Oh, I just said the B word. They'll probably strike this. His chemist or something like that had been a professor of chemistry at the University of Missouri. And there's, anyway, KU, University of Kansas up in Lawrence, has a huge Islamic center. And they've had it for years. It started years ago. University of Kansas is known as Moscow on the Call, or actually Lawrence. It's a big lib city. Great school, right? If you can stay away from the libs, but whatever. And the University of Missouri is they're both excellent schools with whatever. I won't go through that. And so anyway, he was surprised. I was surprised, but also I talked about the KU Islamic Center. The University of Missouri down in Columbia has a huge Islamic center. Right down, well, not down the street from me, but I'll tell you what, within 5 blocks of where Aiden had his parking lot fight last night is a huge new Islamic center. So that's like 2 miles from my house. And so ever since then, I've known that there were these cells. I've never been a doubter. There were these cells. If they were here, they're every place else too. And you can't watch the news if you understand what's going on at the border, and you know all these people are coming in. You know that they are here. Now, the extent of what to which they are ready, your guess is as good as mine. Well, maybe your guess isn't as good as mine. I don't know. Maybe mine isn't as good as yours. Who knows? Pardon me for clearing my throat. It's early, and I'm still on my first cup of Stone Mott coffee. Somebody said, "You going to put out a Stone Mott coffee?" I'm thinking about it. Until then, I just have to be happy with drinking Folgers Instant out of my Stone Mott mug. Now, here's my take on this. There are many who say you need to get away from where these people are. Okay, you need to move out of the cities, move out of this state. Don't go to places. Don't go to sporting events. Don't go to anywhere where there's large crowds. Don't go to the Renaissance festivals. Don't go. Just stay home. Now, I'm not going to disagree with that. Okay, for the people who that's right for them. Good. I hope it. That's great. So please don't say that think that I'm arguing with that point. I'm not. That's just not me. That is just not me. I have as I told Aiden last night when we talked about, always try to avoid it. And I do, and sometimes it's difficult. I spend half of my energy controlling myself on things. But when you can't, you need to be able to handle it. Now, I am not going to hide from it. One of the reasons that I went into law enforcement is because I wanted to be in the middle of it. I wanted to fight against it. And well, I won't go down that road any farther. I'm simply going to say that many of you, most of you, most preppers don't live in the country. They live in the cities and the suburbs. Did you know that? Are you surprised at that? Excuse me. I'll pause you so you don't have to hear me do this. Okay, my throat always clears after I get done making these videos, and some people say, well, why don't you wait until after, it clears to make your video? Because I don't have time. I have many things to do, okay? But anyway, my advice, my message to you today is I'm not going to change my life, okay? I am not going to change my life. Now, tactically, you might say, well, I don't know if that's a good decision or not, Steve. Well, could be, could not be. It's my decision. I'm not going to let fear of these things make me change a life that I enjoy. I'm not going to stop going to my son's big football games. I'm not going to stop going to the store. I'm not going to stop going anywhere. I'm going to live my life. And while I'm living my life, I'm going to be ready. And as this increases, I'm going to be more ready and more ready. Now, what does that mean? And every person, and here I'm going to say, every person is going to have a way that seems right to them. Okay? And I encourage you to do what you think is right for you. I just have too much going on in my life, and I enjoy the things that I have going on in my life too much. I'm just not going to stop doing it, right? Kelly and I are headed up here in about an hour to Lincoln, Nebraska to do some more work on her painted tree booth. If you live around Lincoln, Nebraska, visit the painted tree. So we're gonna do a little bit of build out on her booth today, and she's gonna put some stuff in there, and then we're not gonna be able to finish it. We're so busy right now. We don't have time. We're going to have to go back up in a week or two and finish it out. But anyway, so we're going up there. I'm not going to not go up there. We're not going to avoid going in there. We're going to do our business. We're going to live our lives. And, sometimes if somebody is bound and determined, I remember I made a statement to a friend of mine one time. Something happened, and I won't go into it. The details of it here. But I got a phone call from my brother, and he told me something is going on. And it was a bad deal. It was a bad situation. And he needed me to go with him. And the people I was with, they said, well, you want us to come? I said, nah, we can take care of it. I said, but I got to go right now, because if somebody is begging for an ass whipping, don't make them wait. Now, I don't mean that to sound tough. And I'm not a person who, in my more mature years, looks for fights. I don't. But there are some things that you just, if it's coming, you got to be ready. And you got to do it. And, that's going to be each person's decision on what they're going to do. If you don't meet the monster where the monster is, that monster is just going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. And eventually it's going to get you, like I say, it's going to eat you last, but it's still going to eat you. And what stops these things, it's the old, what stops a bad man with a gun is a good man with a gun type of thing. What stops these kinds of things is resistance. We've talked before. I used to teach active shooter training. And, it was the old run, hide, or fight. But one of the main things you understand from those things is that almost all active shooter situations end at first contact with resistance, whether that be police response, civilian response, some people fighting back, whatever. And it's not always with guns, but they go out there and they're looking for a free fire zone. And if there are terror cells that rise up, they're going to a place for a free fire zone. Kind of the way I look at it, and this may not be right for you. I'm just going to share this. This may not be right for you. I would feel pretty bad if I avoided going to my son's football game and there was an incident and nobody was there to stop it, and I could have been there to have an effect on it. I feel pretty bad. All you guys in the military, that's why you guys do it, right? You get out there and do it. You fight them there so you don't have to fight them. We don't have to fight them here. Well, they're here. And so we may have to fight them here. And so you got to be ready. Now, one thing that some people are saying, and also I believe they mentioned this in the video that I referenced earlier, is that they think that these attacks may come on the anniversary of October 7. They might. These people are big on dates. And apparently, and I didn't know this, that the next day is Muhammad's birthday. The child molester. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Could be right. I tend to doubt it, but I could be wrong. I tend to doubt they're going to do anything before the election because the American people, that would ensure Trump's election. So that's just my thoughts on it. My thoughts are, no better, no worse than anybody's else. You think about it yourself. But what I would suggest in all this is be ready. And I mean be real ready. Just like my son last night in that parking lot. When it comes to you and it can't be avoided, you have to be willing to take it to him. Sometimes you can't hide, sometimes you can't run, and sometimes you have to fight. And if you're not prepared to fight, you're going to come out, and, if you come out being able to remember, wishing that you had done a little bit more to prepare. And what do I say with preparation? You have to have the tools on you all the time. And as I've said before, you have to be ready, willing, and able. A lot of people think they're able just because they carry those tools around. But they're not ready because they're not paying attention and they're not mentally running on, on the right height of awareness. And then when it happens, very often too many people freeze, so you have to be willing. And the willingness comes with a predecision that if something happens, I'm ready. I'm willing to do it. And then your readiness is a matter of having the tools and paying attention and being on the go line, right? If it's ready. And most of the time you're not going to have to go, but be on the starting line and be ready for the starting gun to sound. No pun was intended, but it worked. So that's my thoughts for today. It's a beautiful Sunday. Could happen today. Could not happen for a while. Could not happen for a long while. But if it happens and you're not ready, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life, however long that is, right? And the lives of those who depend on you. So those are my thoughts for today. I have to get loading the truck up to take the stuff up to Lincoln, and we're going to have a great day. But we're going to be ready, and we're not letting anything keep us from doing anything we want to do. So you make your own decisions, but those are my thoughts. You all have a great day. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.